Hi, I'm Nathan Hunter, and my major is electrical engineering.
I'm Jordan Parkins, and my major is electrical engineering as well. Next slide.
This instructions presentation is for a circuit that will allow 6 LEDs to blink at different frequencies of music. And our target audience is beginning computer science and electrical or computer engineering students at BYU, Idaho. Next slide.
This slide is just a list of all the components that you need to build this circuit. We're not going to read it. We'll just leave that to the viewer. Next slide.
Okay, for the jumper, the power and ground rails step, the materials that you will need are 2 jumper wires and a 9-volt battery connector. In this step, we talk about the power and ground rails, or you can see in the picture that they're the power and ground rails, and what we mean by that is this is a breadboard right here, and the red lines are for power, the blue lines are for ground, and up here and at the bottom these are connected horizontally like this, and then the 2 sections in the middle are connected vertically with this trough in the middle that separates them. So if you want to connect this whole thing, you have to jump over this trough here. That's it. Next slide.
Alright, so the first part of this circuit is the audio jack. You'll need 2 10K resistors, a 1K resistor, and a 100 ohm resistor. You'll also need a 2N3904 transistor, a 10 microfarad capacitor, 2 alligator clips, and an audio jack. You will connect these based on the picture and the schematic that is provided in the slide. One thing to remember is for the transistor, if you hold it with the flat side facing you, the left side is the emitter pin, the center is the base pin, and the right is the collector. Also, the capacitor used at this section of the circuit is polarized, so you need to be sure to connect the long pin to the positive end of the circuit and the short pin to the negative end of the circuit. If not, your capacitor could potentially explode, which could be hazardous. Next slide.
For the building the high frequency filter step of our instructions, you will need 1 2.2 ohm resistor, 1 100 ohm resistor, 1 0.47 microfarad capacitor, 1 2N3906 transistor, and 2 blue LEDs. You will also connect this portion of the circuit as shown in the pictures in this slide. Important things to know for this step is that the short end of the LED is the negative end, the long end is the positive end. For this capacitor, it isn't polarized, so you won't have to worry about the pin connections being reversed and or exploding. But you will have to worry about the LEDs being connected backwards. If they are connected backwards, then you risk burning out your LED and your circuit will not perform correctly. Next slide.
Alright, the mid-frequency, it's similar to the high frequency. You'll need a 2.2K ohm resistor, a 1K resistor, and a 180 ohm resistor. You'll need a 0.01 microfarad capacitor and a 0.47 microfarad capacitor. You'll also need a 2N3906 transistor and 2 green LEDs. Again, you will connect this based on the pictures and the schematic that is provided in the slide. Now, the 0.47 microfarad capacitor is polarized, so you'll need to be sure to connect that properly with the short end to the negative and the positive end to the positive, the long end to the positive end of the circuit. Just a reminder, if you hook it up backwards, it could explode, as well as the LEDs. If you hook that up backwards, it'll burn them out. Next slide.
For the building a low frequency filters section, it is also like the previous two. The materials required will be 2 2.2 ohm resistors, one 270 ohm resistor, one 1 microfarad capacitor, one 2N3906 transistor, 2 red LEDs, and again connected as the schematic and the picture show in this slide. Again, just remember to connect your capacitors and your LEDs correctly to avoid any catastrophes in your circuit and having to start over or backtrack or anything like that. Next slide.
Alright, so now you should be able to plug in some music and play it, but if it doesn't work, some of the problems that could potentially be the cause is your battery could be dead, so you need to ensure that your battery is fully charged. Get a new one if you're not sure. Another thing is you need to make sure that the volume is turned up as high as it can go on your music device. Another problem is sometimes the components aren't pressed into the breadboard enough, and so you need to go through and make sure all of them are pressed in to make that good connection. Sometimes wiggling the components will help you determine if that's the problem, because you'll see it start flashing for a second. If that doesn't work, then you probably need to get a multimeter and begin to check all your connections and ensure that there is a voltage across each component. If not, you need to change your component because it's probably out. And now we're going to demonstrate our circuit. As you can see, the different LEDs are flashing to the different frequencies of the music. Alright.
That's how it works. That is our instructions presentation.
Enjoy.